Hey guys, this is Mr. H. Hey, I wanted to do a quick video on recursive sequences because they show up occasionally. Well, actually, they show up every year on the Regents exam. And so I wanted to show you guys how you could use your graphing calculator to easily answer it once you learn kind of how to set them up. So that's what this video is going to do. I have two recursive sequences on the screen. I'm going to do number 3 first. And then I'm going to do number 2. So first thing, one of the things that you have to be on the lookout for is when are you dealing with a recursive sequence? This is how you know you're dealing with a recursive sequence. If you see anything like n+1 that has a subscript like this, n+1 here, or something with the a sub n, or something like this with the n-1, then you should know that you're dealing with the recursive sequence. Now, you may be going like, well, what is a recursive sequence? Well, I'm gonna describe it this way. I'm gonna draw some steps. So this is steps. Now, a recursive sequence is basically saying, in order to get to this step, you gotta be on this step, right? And the assumption is you can't skip steps. So in order to get to, let's say this is the first term, second term, third term, fourth term. So in order to get to the second term, you have to be on the first step, right? Now, if you want to get to the third term, you got to be on the second step. So to get to the third term, you're going to use the second step. To get to the fourth term, you're going to use the third step. So basically, you are always using the prior step to get to the next term, right? So you're using the prior term to get to the next term, all right? So let me erase all of this real quick. Now, so I'm gonna start with the number 3. So, and I'm gonna show you how you would do this on the calculator. So it says a sub 1 equals 6 and a sub n equals 3 plus 2 times a sub n minus 1 parentheses squared. Now, and they want us to find a sub 2, which is basically the second term. So if we go back through this, a sub 1 is the first step or the initial term. And then we're going to try to find, we're going to use the a sub n is equal to 3 plus 2 times the previous term squared, okay? Now, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to go to the calculator, the graph menu, and you can see it starts with sequence. We're going to change that and we're going to make it a sequence. So you go menu, you go to 3, and you see function relation. We usually use these two, but we're going to go down to number 7 and press 7, and then we're going to do 7-1 for sequence. And this is what you should see. You're going to see u sub 1 in parentheses equals, and there's nothing here. And then it says initial terms equals, and there's nothing there. Now, we are going to fill in this part, and we're going to fill in this part here. This is what I like to start with because they always have to tell you the initial term. So just imagine it this way. You can't get to the second or third step unless you have a first step. Okay, so they've got to tell you what the first term is. So if we go back to the problem, you can see that the first term, I'm going to make this red. That's the first term. The first term is a sub 1 equals 6. I'm going to make that a little better. A sub 1 is 6. So we're going to go to the calculator and we're going to put in 6. That's the first term. Now, we're going to go up here and we're going to enter the sequence. And we're going to try to make our sequence look almost as much like the problem as possible. Now, we don't have subscripts. So instead of subscripts, when they say a sub n, we're going to put parentheses in. If they say a sub n minus 1, we're going to do u1 n minus 1. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So let's go back and look at the actual problem. So it says a sub n equals 3 plus 2 times a sub n minus 1 squared. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 plus. So let me go back here. I'm going to do 3 plus, boom. And now I'm going to go 2 times, and I'm going to use the parentheses like they're using it. Okay. So now in here is where I'm going to put my term. So this is u sub 1. This is the first sequence. So I have to use the first sequence. So you're going to do u, and then you're going to click on 1. So that's saying I'm using u sub 1. That's the first sequence. Now, I want to get to the prior term. On the thing, it says n-1. You can see n-1. Now, we don't have subscripts, so we're going to put n-1 inside a parenthesis. So if I go back here, I'm going to go parentheses, n-1, and then I close it. And basically, I'm going to go outside of this, and I'm going to square this. Boom. So basically, I'm going 2 times the prior term, and then I'm squaring that, okay? Now, once you've got that in, and let's go back and compare it one more time, make sure everything looks good. We got 3 plus 2 times the prior term squared. So if I go back here, we go 3 plus 2 times the prior term squared. Now, once you got that, you just press enter, boom. And this is what you see. Now, here's the first term. Now you can use menu 51. It's going to start you on the first term, and then it's going to go to the second term, third term, fourth term. Or you can go menu 71, and it'll also tell you the terms: first term, second term, third term, fourth term, etc. Since we usually use menu 51, so let's use menu 51. You can see that the second term is 75. The third term is 11,253. So if we go back to the original problem, you can see that the second term is 75. So that's a pretty simple thing. Once you've entered the sequence, it'll tell you what the terms are. All right, let's do number 2 now. Now, in number 2, it says that a sub 1, or the initial term, is going to be 5. And then it says n plus 1 is going to be equal to 2 a sub n minus 7. Now, this one's a little differently. You don't see the n minus 1. It actually has an n plus 1, and then it has an n here. But it means the same thing. In order to get to the n plus 1 term, you have to use the previous term, which is n. Now, let me show you how I would do that on the calculator. First, I would go here, and I am going to get rid of this, just like we do before. Menu 14, wipe it out. Now, if you press the tab button, it's going to say, okay, UN equals blank and initial terms. Now, remember, the initial term for this one was 5. So that's what we're going to put in for the initial term. We're going to put 5 here. Boom. Now we're going to go in and we're going to enter the sequence. Now, remember what I said. Try to make your sequence look or your calculator look as much like the problem in the sequence that you have. So let's go back and take a closer look at that. Now, remember, this one says n plus 1 equals 2 times a sub n. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add plus 1 to the left side this time. Boom, because that's what it is, n plus 1 on the left side. And then I'm just going to do the equal, boom, and then I'm going to go 2 times the prior term. So I'm going to go u sub 1. And then the subscript was n, so I'm going to go parentheses n, close the parentheses, and then it says minus 7. Boom. All right, so let's take a look, make sure that looks good. So as you can see, I added a plus 1 to the left-hand side, then I did 2 times the prior term, which is n, and then I subtracted 7. That's what I'm doing here. Now I press enter, boom. And you don't see anything, no worries, just do menu 51, it'll take you to the first term. So actually it took me to the second term. So I want to go back to the first term. So the first term is 5. That's what we expected because that's what they gave us. We want the fourth term for this problem. So we're going to go to the fourth term. Third term, fourth term. Fourth term is a -9. All right. So if I go back to the problem, we're looking for the fourth term, and the fourth term is a -9. We're good to go. So again, once you learn how to input recursive sequences, they're really simple to get questions right. All right. I hope this has been helpful. If you're looking at this video, thank you. If you have any questions and this is still not clear, grab me tomorrow or grab me on Monday or Tuesday and say, Mr. H, can you show me how to do recursive sequences? And I'd be glad to. All right, guys, I'm out.